In the month of May, we always focus on mission, and so we thought it's a good idea to combine this series, 5-sermon series, with Mission Month to see how we can build habits in us as Christians to be more missional in our view and our approach. 5 habits of highly missional people. It is based on a book by Michael Frost, a Baptist minister and a missionologist residing in Sydney. And the book is called Surprise the World. If you want to download, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's a shorter version of the book called The 5 Habits of Highly Missional People. It's free. You can Google it and you can download in PDF form and follow us on that. We will take some outline from there and take some points from there, but not entirely. So the 5 Habits of Highly Missional People. Every year when we do about preaching, I always tell myself we need to develop our head, our heart, and our hands. So in our series of sermon, I tend to think along those lines, not to say that we can't overlap and all that. So this is one of those series that helps us to look at our hands, what we can do to be a bit more missional, how to employ and cultivate some habits that to help us be a bit more missional in our approach. Most habits among Christians are more internal. It's for your internal benefit, like you come to church on Sunday, you attend Bible study or KYB or the prayer meeting. Is actually more cultivating of your own development. So we hope this series will help in terms of helping us cultivate external habit, looking outward to be more missional. And it is based on this acronym called BELLS, B-E-L-L-S, BELLS. And each week we're going to touch on one. So today my topic is bless. If you be a bit more missional outlook, bless, it will cultivate the habit, the values of being generous. And so we want to be missional. We want to be generous people in blessing people. And then next week, Pastor Caroline is going to touch on eat. It's going to be a challenging topic. Eat. And when you eat with people, you cultivate the values of being hospitable. And then the third one is listen. Listen. If you listen to God and listen to the Word of God and all that, you will become more Spirit-led. God, what should I do? If you ask this kind of question, you're on the right direction. God, what should I do? Lord, what do you want me to do? You are being Spirit-led rather than your own intellect. And then the fourth one is learned, which will cultivate the values of Christ-likeness. The more you study the Word of God will shape your worldviews and affect the way you will live. And finally, the word sent. You become more missional in your approach to life. So over the next couple of weeks, not consecutively, because in the month of May, we have 2 guest speakers usually. And so until the end of May, we will cover these 5 points. BELLS, B-E-L-L-S. Bless, eat, listen, learn, and send, in the hope that we will be more missional in our approach. So today, my topic is bless. Bless. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, says that you are what you do, not what you say you do. You are what you do, not what you say you do. Many people say many things. I wish one day I'll do this, do this. But that is not you. You are what you actually do, not what you say you do. And so this morning, what I hope to bring across to you is the first missional habit that I hope we can cultivate is learning to bless people. Learning to bless people. B just read to us from Genesis chapter 12. God's calling of Abram to go and form this people group. So in that few verses, God made 3 promises to Abraham. Number 1, that God is going to give them a people group, because at that point it's only Abraham. People group. And then he married Sarah, and then from Sarah you have Isaac. From Isaac you got Jacob. From Jacob you have 12 tribes, and it multiplies. So God right at the start promised Abraham, you are going to have people. Number 2, I'm going to give you a nation, a people, a nation. And thirdly, God said, I'm going to bless you, or rather, I'm going to use you as a nation to bless the earth, the world. So here in Genesis chapter 12, God says to Abraham, I will bless you, and you will be a blessing. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. Did you know that Jewish people only constitute 0.2% of the world population? 15 million people. That's all they have. 15 million people worldwide. With this tiny group of people, yet its contribution to humanity is astounding. Its footprints of blessings, innovation, and aid etched into the areas of mankind's greatest need. Every year, Nobel Prize held in Sweden give to men and women who have rendered the greatest service to humankind. So far, since its inception, 1901, 962 Nobel Prizes have been given out. And out of the 962, 162 were awarded to Jews. And that is 22%. Almost a quarter of the Nobel Prize were awarded to Jews. In the area of literature, 13% of all Nobel Prize given to Jews. In the area of chemistry, 19%. In the area of physics, 27%. In the area of medicine, 25%. Anybody want to have a go on in the area of economics? 40%. Almost half. Jewish contributions to society is enormous. There was a journalist reside in Pakistan, I forgot his name now, something Salim. He wrote an article on that, comparing Jewish people and Muslim world. He criticized his own race in the sense where they have 1.4 billion compared to 14 million people. Jewish contribution is enormous. Albert Einstein, physicist. Jonas Salk created first polio vaccine. Baruch Bloomberg developed a vaccine for hepatitis B. William Croft invented the kidney dialysis machine, and he is known as the father of artificial organs. Galileo discovered the speed of light. Salman Wassman discovered streptomycin, and he coined the word antibiotic. Gabriel Lippmann discovered color photography. Julius Mayer discovered the law of thermodynamics. Sigmund Freud, father of psychotherapy. And you might add in there, Christopher Columbus discovered America. Isaac Singer, sewing machine, yeah? When you're growing up, there's this sewing machine that's always my toy, you know? Isaac Singer is a perfect wedding gift, isn't it? In those days. Peter Schutz, optical fiber cable. Charles Adler, traffic lights. Benlo Strauss, stainless steel. Isidore Kish, sound movies. Charles Ginsberg, videotape recorder. And with a name like this, Joseph Pulitzer established Pulitzer Prize for achievement in journalism, literature, music, and art. And famous financiers in the business world who belong to Jewish faith include Ralph Lauren Polo, Levi Strauss, your Levi jeans, huh? Howard Schultz, Starbucks, Sergey Brin, Google, Michael Dell, Dell Computers, Larry Ellison, Oracle, Donna Karan, DKNY, Irv Robbins, Baskin and Robbins, and Bill Rosenberg, Dunkin' Donuts. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, and the latest man who is the poster boy now is the inventor of this ChatGPT, Samuel something, also a Jew. And the highest IQ in the world belongs to this man called William James Siders. He had an IQ of 250 to 300. An average is only 85 to 115. His IQ is twice the score of Albert Einstein, a Jew. God make this promise, say that these people on earth will be blessed through you. And in the New Testament, we are called to bless this world. Flowing from that, 1 Peter chapter 5, Peter writes to Christians who were suffering under persecution. He said, finally, all of you be like-minded, be sympathetic, love one another, be compassionate and humble. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing, because to this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing. For whoever would love life and see good days must keep their tongue from evil and their lips from deceitful speech. They must turn from evil and do good. They must seek peace and pursue it. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. Who is going to harm you if you are eager to do good? But even if you should suffer for what is right, you are blessed. Do not fear their threats. Do not be frightened. But in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect, keeping a clear conscience, so that those who speak maliciously against your good behavior in Christ may be ashamed of their slander. You know, I forget to name a whole lot of people in the Hollywood industry are also Jew in the sense. In fact, the founder of Hollywood is a Jew as well. And the only man who won 3 Best Actor awards, you know who is that? 3. The only man who won 3. Even Tom Hanks only 2. Daniel Day-Lewis. 3. A Jew. Bless. We need to be a blessing to those around us. And the meaning of the word bless, among other meaning, we use this word in a variety of ways. Sometimes it means to confer some sort of a prosperity and happiness upon another person. Therefore, we bless them. And even blessing someone who has just sneezed. Yeah, when someone sneezes, what do you say? Bless you. It's an expression of such goodwill and a desire for continued good health. And Michael Frost in his book defined blessing this way. He said to bless means to add strength to another's arm. To add strength to another's arms. For example, if I can't carry this and you come along and you help me to carry this, you add strength to my arms. You bless me. And the immediate image that came out in the Old Testament is Moses, isn't it? Remember Moses prayed? he held up his hand, and who was behind him, supporting his hands? Aaron, supporting his arms. So to bless means you add strength to another's arm. That is the meaning of blessing. What does it mean to add strength to another's arm? Anything that relieves their burden in life. Anything that helps them breathe more easily. Just like people who can't breathe, right? They put on the machine, the oxygen. Help them breathe better. Bless. Anything that lifts their spirit and elevates their distress. It can be small thing or large. It's a blessing. Add strength to one's arm. Or add value. Like we like to say, right, in business, you add values to people's life. You add value to the meeting. You add value. Wherever you are, you add value. You don't add burden, you add values. Every day, live the intentional life of blessing others. That's why I hope and I pray that this first blessing, bless, is that will help us cultivate this habit to be more missional, is that we seek to bless people. Benjamin Franklin said, no one is useless in this world who lightens the burden of someone else. When you lighten the burden of someone else, you are adding strength to their arms. You are blessing them. Albert Schweitzer, what a brilliant man. Brilliant man. Gave it all up, became a missionary. And he said, I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know, the ones among you who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. In fact, he won the Nobel Prize for character. I don't know how they evaluate that, but he's known as a wonderful man. He said, you're really happy is someone who really found how to serve. The happiest people usually are not the most successful people, but they are the ones who serve the best. There are many unhappy, successful people, but I have never met an unhappy person that gave their life of serving and giving and adding values to people's life. Martin Luther King Jr. said, everybody can be great. Why? Because everybody can serve. If you serve, means you are great. You are not useless. You are useful. You are adding strength to someone's arm. You are blessing someone. How many of you have read the book 5 Love Languages? Yes? 5 Love Languages, written by Gary Chapman many years ago for couples. Because what he said is that each one of us, we have different languages of love. So we need to learn to speak the correct language to the person. You don't keep speaking Hindi to me. I don't understand Hindi. If you speak Mandarin to me, I understand. If you speak dialect Cantonese to me, I understand. If you speak Hokkien to me, I understand. If you speak Teochew to me, I can understand a little bit. But don't speak Hindi to me, I don't understand. And what he's saying is that love also got languages. We feel love differently. So we have to speak the right kind of language to the person so that the person feel love. And he surveyed and he said there are generally 5 love languages. And each one of us are different. For some reason, most women have 5. I don't know why. 5 love languages. And today I thought it would be good to just highlight a few so that in our missional outlook, in learning to bless people, we keep that in mind, these love languages that we can use to bless people. And the first one is, disappeared. Very strange. Below here is supposed to be words of affirmation, okay? Words of affirmation. How many people say to your mom, hey mom, you're awesome. Hey mom, you're great. How many children do that? Hey, Mom, you're such a good cook. How about mother-in-law? Do you affirm your mother-in-law? Not just mother. Come Mother's Day, I always tell people, please remember to honor your mother-in-law, not your mother alone. Because it's your spouse's mother. Words of affirmation. Words of affirmation are simply true statements affirming the worth of another person. It is not flattering. We don't want to go down the path of manipulating people. That comes from your motives. It is affirming, encouraging people. Words have power. Please remember, words have tremendous amount of power. Can you help me, X? For some reason, I can't click to the next slide. Words have power. Be careful with your words, because once they were spoken, they can only be forgiven, not forgotten. Words can inspire, words can destroy. Don't ever diminish the power of words. Words can move hearts, and when you move hearts, you move their limbs. The power of words. There's a poem written called Only a Word. Only a word of anger, but it wounded one sensitive heart. Only a word of sharp reproach, but it made the teardrop start. Only a hasty, thoughtless word, sarcastic and unkind, but it darkened the day before so bright and left a sting behind. Only a word of kindness, but it lightened one's heart of its grief. Only a word of sympathy, but it brought one's soul relief. Only a word of gentle cheer, but it flooded with radiant light the pathway that seemed so dark before, and it made the day more bright. Words of affirmation is so wonderful. In our leaders retreat this year, the elders and the executive get together. We gave them a homework, and that is they are supposed to write down words of affirmation for every one of them in a form of letter and give it to them. Some put in a lot of effort, because we see the value of affirmation. We receive criticism all the time. And therefore, Paul said, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. It may benefit those who listen. Benefit. You add strength to people's arm. You bless them with words of affirmation. Hey, that was a good job done, man. I never thought of that before. Wow, you're so creative, I would do otherwise, Words of affirmation. For some strange reason, we are very courteous to stranger. We are very nice to friend. But we are extremely nasty to those who are closest to us. Don't know why. Something about human heart that we are so nasty to those who are close to us. But we are so nice to friends, And when you fall sick, when you're in hospital, all that they come is give you a flower and a card and see you half an hour and then they disappeared. And once in a while just SMS you. But the loved one, they will be with you 24 hours. They are the one that look after you. Get you up at night, cook for you, this and that. The value of affirming those who are close to us is so wonderful. So my friend, the first love languages, according to Gary Chapman, is words of affirmation. And that's one of it that you can use it to bless people. Don't flatter, don't manipulate, genuinely see that you want to build the person up. Even it's not up to your standard, but you want to encourage them and give them, you can do this way. But genuinely wants to build them up instead of tearing them down. There was a story written by a man called Tom Long, who is a professor in a theological college in America. And in the book he wrote and retells the story of this lady called Mary Ann Bird, who has written a memoir. This lady, Mary Ann Bird, wrote a memoir called The Whisper Test. The Whisper Test. Because Mary Ann Bird had been born with several birth defects. A cleft palate, a disfigured face, crooked nose, lopsided feet, and deafness in one ear. And the worst aspect of her childhood was that she had to put up with from other kids. School for her was a nightmare. And worst of all was the annual hearing test. When the teacher would call each child forward, the child covered one ear and then the other, and the teacher would whisper a simple phrase like, "The sky is blue. You have new shoes." Since she could not hear in one ear, Mary Ann did everything possible, including cheating, to get through the exam without drawing any further attention to her disability. She hated the whisper test. But one year, her teacher was Miss Leonard. The day came for the dreaded hearing test. Mary Ann came forward and cupped her ear. Miss Leonard leaned forward, and Mary Ann said, "I waited for those words which God must have put in her mouth. Those 7 words that has completely changed and transformed my life." Miss Leonard did not say the sky is blue or you have new shoes. What she whispered was these 7 words. And these 7 words were, "I wish you were my little girl." I wish you were my little girl. And according to Mary Ann Bird, that transformed her life. Somebody loves me and affirms me. Somebody actually likes me. I wish you were my little girl. Words of affirmation is powerful, my dear friends. Use it to bless people. Use it to bless. Use it wisely to bless and build up, so that those, as according to what Paul says here, those who hear it will be benefit from these words. Other verses in Proverbs says, "An anxious heart weighs a man down, but a kind word cheers him up." The tongue that brings healing is a tree of life. A man finds joy in giving an apt reply. Oh, how good is a timely word. Pleasant words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Words are powerful. Use it as a way to bless others in missional approach. Secondly, acts of service or kindness. Gary Chapman said the second love language is the acts of service or kindness. An act of service is a physical expression of a thoughtful gesture. It's a physical expression of a thoughtful gesture. You do something, you thought about it, you actually do it. You didn't just settle here, thought of it. You actually translate it into action by actually doing it to that person. So it's a physical expression of a thoughtful gesture. Acts of kindness add strength to people's arm. They lighten the recipient's load. You know, in 1 Corinthians 13, the famous chapter on love, say love is patient, love is kind. You know, the word kind, original Greek word is the word usefulness. Useful. Love is useful to other people. Love is kind. Love is conscious of using itself on others. It is kind. Love is kindness, act of service, looking for opportunities to meet those needs without repayment. Love is conscious of using itself on others. It is useful to other people. That's the meaning of kind. Acts of service. Serve one another. Give a ride. Buy people a meal. Hey, come, let's go out. Let me catch up with you over a meal. Bless people with a meal. What's the big deal? Why do we have to see money so tight, hold so tight? For what? Use it to bless others. The Lord has blessed you. Use it to bless people. The needs, a mission month, the money that we need to support all these missionaries. Bless these people. God in turn will make you a happier person when you hold all this worldly possession loosely. Don't hold it so tight. Acts of service, kindness. Help someone. Do some work. Roll up your sleeve. Give people a ride. Cook a meal for someone. Or invite people over for dinner or lunch. And all that. Sometimes you can do acts of kindness without people actually knowing it. I was a recipient of a kindness that that I don't even know who is the person. You know what happened? I went to a park in Box Hill many years ago when I was new here. I remember I put those coins there, I ran out of time, but for some strange reason, somebody put some coin into my parking lot. Even though expired already, somebody turned for me extra time. I don't know who. So I didn't get a fine. Even though I saw the tires mark, the chalk on my tires. Many people just roll over it, And you get another 2 hours or so. But somebody put extra money into my coin. I don't know who. I know there was a youth group who did that. Say, let's today do that. Go around having some coin. That's one of the activities, just to bless people. That's all. In my years as a youth pastor in my old church, there was this guy who was in his university. He went for lunch, and he was working part-time in Box Hill, went on lunch with his colleague, went to a Vietnamese restaurant, maybe JJ or somewhere, I don't know, those days. And they have lunch there. He told me the story. He said he sat there, it was packed with people. He sat down and had lunch with this colleague of hers, and they're both Christian. And when they get together, they complain about church. They whinge and whinge and whinge, complain. Pastor, no good, pastor sermon, boring, blah, 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 and on and on and on and on. And at the end of it, he told me he went up to the counter to pay, and the man on the counter said, you know what? Somebody paid for you. And this person left behind this note for you. And the note simply read, hello friends, I happen to be sitting beside you, and I heard your entire conversation. I'm a Christian too, and I love the Lord. Church is actually not so bad. It's not as bad as you think. God bless you with this meal. Enjoy it. He was embarrassed when he told me that. Maybe it's an angel in disguise, isn't it? Acts of kindness, acts of service. Don't necessarily need people to know sometimes. And the third one is, of course, gifts. Well, to my Western friends, this is red packet. Asians tend to give red packet. Doesn't matter the occasion, whether it's your birthday or Christmas or New Year, or whether you're going for holidays, people bless you with a bit of money just on your journey. Whatever gifts you want to buy for yourself, please do so. Very pragmatic, very practical. Help with the cost of wedding sometime. I received 3 blender when I married. I was not familiar with Australian culture and all that, so it was a culture shock to me sometime, buying gifts, but people bless you with a love gift. There are more things that I was culture shocked too. They say, you are invited for barbecue, but please bring your own meat. Well, that is Australian culture, we learn from there, So gifts is another form of ways to bless people. Don't have to be expensive. Can be very thought that really count. Simple things. I'm sure you received gifts before. That's been a blessing to you. And then the fourth one is quality time. Some people's love language is not give. Don't have to buy me anything, please. Just spend some time with me. Don't have to buy me this new car, buy me this thing. No need. I just want to spend time with you. Some people feel love when you spend quality time with them. So that is the whole purpose of this book by Gary Chapman, is that you speak the right language to that person. Scratch where it itch. Don't scratch my head when it is my back that is itch. You only cause it to bleed maybe. So even though you show out of love, but it is not speaking my language. So we've got to learn to find our own love language and tell each other so that it can scratch in the correct place. Quality time. And the last one that I didn't put up is physical touch. Of course, the book is written in the context of husband and wife marital relationship. Some people feel love when you give them a hug, a rub on the shoulder. You know, they feel hold hands. Some people feel love that way. You know, and we have to learn how to show appropriate within certain boundary, but not to the general public. We have to be careful in the sense with all this safe church thing nowadays hanging over us. So those are the 5 love languages according to Gary Chapman that I want to put it out there for you so that you can use it to bless people. May this become your habit. Every week, look out for ways to bless people. Then you will become more missional. Become part of you. Habitual. Blessing people. And maybe by doing that, you will sow seed and draw them closer to the Lord. Let me say this as a pastor, been involved in evangelism many, many times. Sometimes I feel that you almost need to earn your right to speak into people's lives. You need to earn your right. You can't just go around telling people what to do. You have to earn that right in order to speak into people's lives. Otherwise, people won't listen to you. Why should I listen to you? Who are you? You almost need to earn that right to speak into people's lives as a pastor. How many of you know George Verver? Founder of Operation Mobilization, died 2 days ago. He was my boss in the sense because I was with this movement from 1993 to 96 for about 2.5 years, but involved with them for many years before that as well. And he was the international director then, a very, very energetic man. You can roughly see his shirt that he's wearing. Actually, if you see it fully, he's actually the map of the world. He will be wearing this jacket around, map of the world, and holding this big globe, huge one, map of the world, because his passion is to bring the gospel to the world. Passionate man. You hear him speak, you can never fall asleep. He can never fall asleep because he's so passionate. His entire life is devoted to blessing people with the gospel. Single-mindedness focus all his life. Started OM in 1961 at the age of 23 for 60 over years, and retired, of course, from international director and all that, blessing people. So may you this week do that, will you? Bless people, make it part of your head. Maybe think of blessing 3 people, whether it's through words or acts of service, or however quality time in whatever ways. You know, spiritual growth comes from deliberate pursuit and an intentional way. It won't drift to you. You won't suddenly become spiritually mature just by growing old as a Christian. It won't happen. It comes from an intentional, deliberate pursuit of doing certain things in your life. Then it becomes part of you, and then you can be a great blessing.